It's Jim Week. We've been talking about Jim Konya. His birthday was right, and I'm here at Eddie Satan's, and dude, I'm wiping away tears and shit, and I figured let's get close for one. Hey Eddie, we're really close. And I'm wiping away fucking tears and telling the stories, and it's like, well, goddamn, like we should be fucking like recording this.
We shouldn't be fucking.
Well, maybe later.
Hi, everybody. It's been a while.
Oh.
So, Craig and I were talking about...
Who?
Reaper and I were talking about... You can't edit that out. Your arm's going to get tired, so we'll be quick. We were talking about... we brought up Konya, and his birthday just happened. Yeah. And I forgot. I'm like, gosh, I know he passed away... And I know it was change of season time, like, but not spring going to summer, summer going to fall. And it took me a minute. So my association, my friends that call me Operator HIV because I look like an operator that has HIV because of my hats I wear. I remember it was around the Cleveland Air Show, and we were. It was kind of surreal thinking about it now, because I knew Jim more as...
Yeah, I don't think I know, like, how you met him.
We played softball. I think when I really got to know him was playing softball together. So, I mean, I knew Nunsutter and all his, everything he did. Let me put this on Do Not Disturb.
Because then I knew him from then, like, just, well, the stories that most of the viewers obviously know, but like honestly, my portfolio was started just being like into metal realistically, and the metal bros that my brothers then that started Hell's Headbangers, and like through putting out Crucified Mortals Converted by Decapitation, like Jim got that, and then all of a sudden like it seemed like weeks
he got it, like he bought it, got it, or like I get it.
I don't think he bought it, got it. I think I did like...
Do you know what I mean? Like mentally
got
it?
Yeah. Okay. Well, he definitely mentally got it. But I did think that like he definitely not bought it, got it. And I relayed like a copy to get to him. Because like, I just remember like, dude, the metal bro. So like, my brothers, like we were living at our parents.
I'm looking at your eyes on the video, by the way.
Oh.
Sorry, Craig.
So
Reaper.
This is going back to the days for, as Justin always mentions, the young bucks. That so they don't know that like
because he's so old.
Kinda to
he's
today's
in his 40s
technology.
now, right?
That like if you called your parents' house in this equation, like somebody that isn't intended for the phone call is going to answer phone. So in this case, me, like I've often answered the phone that like Jim's searching for one of my brothers, and on that day that there was something more to meeting Jim, I guess, because I already met him, was like answering the phone call, and it was like, hey man, oh yeah, I'll go get Justin or Eric, or I don't know who I assumed that he was looking for. And he's like, no, I'm calling for you, man. Like, I want to fucking talk to you. Like, I heard Converted by Decapitation. Like, dude, this is fun, because this is 2000. Converted by Decapitation, I always forget when, because I remember when it was recorded. It came out on
06?
No, 4. It was done in like we recorded it in like 2003, because it was like right on the brink of like Christmas and New Year's recording it, and then it took a while to come out. So and then it was August. So August 13th, because then there was that was a Friday the 13th. So August 13th, 2004, Converted by Decapitation, Crucified Mortals came out. Jim obviously didn't get it on release date, but eventually, yeah, that phone call that happened many times, looking for one of my brothers to talk about, early Hell's Headbangers dealings, who knows.
Are they still doing it like out of the basement or?
No, the hallway, essentially, out of their bedroom. Like me and Justin shared, like we only had so many rooms in the house. Me and Justin shared a room, Eric and Chase shared a room. And like then the collectively.
Which room was gayer?
Oh, theirs, because then me and Justin were, we weren't exactly like playing Crucified Mortals, so there you go. There's the gayer remark. We weren't as much in connection.
And I
we
meant
certainly weren't
happy,
sitting as close on
happy, like play gaily. So
well,
all
there you
people
go.
don't get offended.
I was very happy to have my first record come out. So, just that, because then it was just like changing of the tides that like, we just through doing nothing, like that's why I always say like I'm the field of dreams, like if you build it they will come. Like I just fucking put out a record and all of a sudden
they will come too, or I will.
Words of wisdom. And when just that call came and like, no, I'm looking for you, and we had a really deep conversation then about how awesome Desultory was.
And, you and Jim,
yeah. Because then he was the first person, like, I think my brother's, like, kind of like it, but, like, for me, like, Justin really likes Cannibal. Like, I've heard Cannibal Corpse, I've heard Creator. Like, when I put on Into Eternity, it was just, like, it was one of the most brutal things I heard. Like, and I've heard, I guess, in theory, more brutal. Like, and you're the only fucking person that, like, is excited about it, Jim. And, like, I think an hour went by. He's like, so you know about the Forever Gone LP? Like, I don't. I fucking need it. And I got it. And so, like, it was just so cool because, like, I guess in his mind, it was like, dude, I got to fucking call this kid and, like, give him, like, pep talk. Because, like, dude, too, like, there was, like, a thrash revival of, like, high-top sneakers and stuff. But, like, and not to be like, oh, that guy, like, fuck yeah. But, like, Crucified Mortals definitely was like a predecessor, but like a predecessor in a way of like, this just rolled off the top of my mind of like, I just want to do a band that sounds like this. This is the stuff I want to do. Not because I think, let's create a scene and a movement.
I think there was almost a collective. It seems like stuff like that comes in spurts, or no, I come in spurts, but there's like a rotation where ever since, so we had the 60s, which was the Doors and stuff, and then the 70s we had the southern rock in the beginning, and then the 80s thrash metal, hair metal, and then it seems like ever since and then the 90s was the whiny grungy stuff. And it seems in my
you loved it.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Mouth full of marbles.
But yeah, like waves.
So it seems to cyclic. Like you and I have always talked about the 90s, where it was like, the best bands were Typo and COC, and then you got to give it to Pantera, and and so thrash. Going back to Desultory, when you first started talking about it, it's getting off subject, but I remember you and I and Ash Thomas talking about the second Desultory record,
Bitterness,
which I liked.
I fucking love it,
and I don't think Ash did.
Really?
I can't speak for him.
Ash,
Ash, if you're watching, you're probably right. And then there was a long time, and then the third one came out.
Swallow the Snake.
No, I was after Swallow the Snake.
The reunion.
The reunion one. Yeah.
Oh, what is that called?
That was a great record, I thought. I kind of
it was better than Swallow. I gotta
Swallow
admit,
the Snake was.
I rag on Swallow the Snake, and most people do. To some degree, there is a soft spot for it.
Sex with a woman that's unwilling, I say swallow the Snake. That never happens.
Well, that's kind of what the the joke of like ragging on the album is it's but yeah.
But exactly. You know what? They made a record and they played their own instruments and there was no sampling.
In a world that you have to fucking like appease shit for. So like, wow, they can play.
Reaper and I end up at like Craig Reaper Creeper. That's your new name. So we end up at
great
bars a lot. Shocker beer. Here's one. I don't know if can I do a shameless plug?
I don't think anybody's going, but go for it.
Go to this place if you're in Cuyahoga Falls, where Tommy Boy was filmed.
90s for you.
But so like we go into bars and they play a lot of just bad music.
Yeah.
And he's more in tune to it than I am, probably because I'm now over 50 and deaf as shit.
You fucking geezer.
I am, dude. I spend my life in a white noise environment.
Well, that's just funny because like the last time I think you were on camera was with Justin Athenar, and Justin was like kind of amazed, like, that means you're fucking like 50.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah. Like Justin in age is like, dude, Joe, like, because I always think of like like I don't think it happened on camera, but
you mean J Dog? Who's Justin?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Where like we somehow Joe Pesci was brought up and like he's like, dude, he's fucking 80. I'm like, I don't know. Like I got to do the math. Like
Eddie's
I think
80
he's young.
or Joe Pesci's 80?
What?
Eddie's 80 or Joe Pesci's 80?
Joe Pesci's 80.
Oh.
Yeah. No, Eddie. But so like, because Justin just has like a way of like, always he's very interested in age, I guess is the point. And he's and like when you think in doubt, like no, Joe Pesci's like 75. He's like, dude, he's fucking 85. And then you're like, look it up. And then you look it up, like Justin was right.
I know, but
so like you old fuck, like you're 50 something.
But Joe Pesci was banging Marissa Tomei in that movie.
In theory.
Well, God, who wouldn't?
Right. Well, and so Jim.
So anyhow, yeah. We were going, by the way, who did Justin's eyebrows?
Justin.
Oh. So, which I think started it was, I was being a nerd, because the Hell Bash, is, I believe what it was called, right?
Hell's Head Bash, and then 2015 then was the last time we were saying before the tears and the fucking, I was about to say napkins.
Yeah, so we were talking about, so I said, oh, it was just Jim's birthday, and we were talking about how we met Jim. So I knew who Jim was, and it was, a local band, Cleveland, and you go watch bands, and you don't want to be a fanboy, but, you go, and then you shake the hand after the show or something, and, I don't know if people recognize you or not, it doesn't really matter. So I ended up playing softball with Jim, and that's where he and I actually developed a friendship. It was away from music, which was, I guess, kind of a nice way to, for nerdy white boy that likes airplanes and guns and beer and whiskey, maybe not more than music, but differently. So I had a different bond with Jim, and Craig Reaper and I were talking about the last time I talked to Jim. It was at the Hell's Head Bash.
Yeah.
And that is also the weekend of the Cleveland Air Show, which it's a 3-day air show in September.
Yeah.
Three, whichever. So, but for me, it's like a kind of a 5-day, 6-day air show because I go to the practices and the after. So
you dork out.
I do dork out, and same with the music. So the Head Bash, the Hell's Head Bash was kind of downtown Cleveland, but
yeah, Agora.
Yeah, it's quite a number. It's quite of a walk.
Yeah, Midtown or whatever the hell.
And then the air show's really close to downtown Cleveland. It's on the east side. So a couple of days I had walked back and forth between the air show and the Agora. I think I got dropped off at the Agora very early and went back to the air show. And so there was one day where I was just wiped out, exhausted, and I wasn't looking for a beer. I was looking for like a Gatorade or water.
That's rare.
It's very. I was probably looking for a beer. Fuck dehydration, right? So I ran into Jim. He had a Striper shirt on. And was that the day he played
with Grave Worm?
Yeah.
Because Grave Worm was playing at Hell's Head Bash in 2016. Or 15. Sorry.
Yeah, so I said, I admitted to Jim, I'm like, hey man, I missed you playing with Grave Worm. I didn't realize you were. I said I was at the air show. So Jim, I was an air show nerd, kind of. He didn't say nerd, but so whenever I had these conversations with Jim, it was very. A lot of the talks had nothing ever to do with music, and he was like interested in my experience at the air show, which at the time I thought nothing of because Jim was just a friend of mine. But then, you look back to kind of who Jim was and everything he did, ran for mayor of.
Well, the mayor of Parma recognized
him as
that, and going to the key, something like the key of Parma when he died. The mayor recognized it
because he ran for mayor,
dude. I think like jokingly.
Jokingly, yeah.
Like he did have like that sign. There's that photo of him in that Creator Pleasure to Kill shirt, which was mine, by the way, which is funny because Jim had this thing of like on tour anyway, like wearing my dirty laundry. Like Craig, do you have like a shirt that like I can wear tonight that you're done wearing?
Was that code for he pulled it out of your?
Well, I
butt and then... God, we're gonna just make somebody mad at that. It's so funny.
Well, Jim loved those jokes himself. Like I remember.
If you can't laugh at yourself, by the way, people, if something comes across and you're offended because either you're gay or you're whatever the hell it is,
oh God!
Like so I'm going.
Where are you going?
I don't know. So Jim was wearing a striper shirt at the Hell's Head Bash. When the last time I talked to him, last time I talked to him before he had his stroke.
Yeah.
And, like I said, he was interested in the, hey, that was airshow. What was going on? So, and we're just having a conversation which had nothing to do with music. And then he played with the Grave Worm, at some point in the conversation. Oh, shit, man, I'm sorry I missed it. Well, you're here. And then
air shows.
Jim, see you around. There's a handshake because we were going to go do our own, either he wanted to get in position to watch whoever was next and such. And then, I got the news, actually from Don.
Of the Dead.
Of the Dead. And I can't remember. I think Don might have been... I don't remember. For some reason, I picked up Don.
Really?
Yeah. I went
took him to the hospital?
Took him to the hospital. And I can't remember... I think when we got there was... I went and saw him a few times, and I think even that first time, it was just really packed. It was tons and tons of people. So Don was obviously upset, despite the fact that, gosh, Jim and Don just always seemed like they were arguing, but brothers do that. And I think they were.
I've seen a few of those happen.
I'm sure you have. Nothing to do with the band. So, and that was, it's kind of crushing when you see somebody.
Reality kick in there?
Yeah. You're like, holy shit, man. These stage personas, there's quotes. And then you see the human side of it.
Well, and that's kind of what like preempted this video was like we were talking about it for one, and like I just couldn't help but like acknowledge the fact that like we have many conversations and then it's over. It's like that was a good podcast.
That would have been a good podcast. So that's why the quality is so good now.
Yeah. And so I was just saying that at least my final moments, kind of because that's kind of where you left off story-wise, like now Jim's in the hospital and like people are visiting him. And I only visited him once. Like I think Don was pretty much there every day. It seemed like, at least my memory of it, like seems like he was kind of like, like the mom of the situation of like, you got to get in there and see your dying grandmother kind of thing.
Don was saying this?
Yeah, it seemed like he was definitely
energy? Okay.
And maybe I got it wrong, but like I was like, I'll be able to get it there because then my daughter was like really, really young. I think she just started walking, so I think I was like always like trying to like correlate it with that, like what's a moment that'll pick in, because then too is like
that's
always
got to be what a year, give or take, a couple months.
Yeah, I think she was. Let's just say she was 2. And so anyway, like I was saying, before the camera started rolling, like now that it is that situation of like, like such a meaningful friend that, well, for one, to preempt the story, I was kind of like dodging phone calls from Jim because at that point there was like a few like project kind of calls like, dude, we're gonna go to the fucking studio and Dora's gonna be there and we're gonna like rip out some new Spawn of Satan.
The Explorer? No.
Yeah.
Chris.
And so like at that point, like there was just a few things that were Spawn of Satan wise on the shelf that I was starting to like kind of just dodge the phone calls and like, well, Jim, like we had the Crucified Mortals split and that still hasn't happened. And then I had to like go the other way.
Split with Spawn of Satan?
Yeah, which became the Crucified Mortals Faith Extractor split. So just anyway, my headspace was there. And so, like that's
what we talked about earlier. I mean, there was a lot of new stuff in your life, like a new daughter that wasn't like, hey, let's get married, let's have kids. And this is to commend you, without getting political or anything, but so you and your then girlfriend got pregnant. You collectively got pregnant, and you decided to have the child, which is the brave and smart thing and the only thing that you should do. Not, again, I'm getting preachy here, but and so I commend you for it. So with that said, doing the right thing sometimes carries a lot of weight. So you were carrying a lot of weight with where I think you might go with this conversation. If it goes to what I'm pointing over there, that's a
the gargoyle.
City. Oh, by the gargoyle. Craig was over by the gargoyle. Reaper was by the gargoyle.
Yeah.
So that's a heavy weight.
Well, and it's so then that's.
I might have to take a pee break and a beer break.
Go for it. I'll
do you want to keep talking?
I'll keep telling the story.
Do you need another? I would reach and see if your beer's full or not. Do you need another?
You're the one drinking. Really heavily. But no.
Do you want one?
No, I'm good.
I'll be back.
So, yeah. So I was just saying that to Eddie, like before the camera started rolling, like owning that and wondering because, like, yeah, I showed up, I fit it in a day, and like here's like this. Friend that you had that was such an energy and such, the wit was always, man, like just some of the jokes. The best joke, like one of the ones, I just remember like recording an Unslaughter session and somehow Profanatica was brought up and like the fact that like they had like their first 7-inch and like that everybody jerked off onto the record and like, Jim was like, it's a semen inch. Like, so just like stupid shit like that. Like his wit. Because I had people like recently too, like, I guess it's Gym Week, right? So I just had people that are like apparently younger, like saying like, what was he like? And like I sent like some footage of Crucified Mortals on the way to playing a gig in CBGB's, New York City, obviously. And, like, I'm driving, and, like, you got Jim in the back goofing around, so, like, Craig Horville's up front sleeping, then the camera pans, like, I'm not fucking sleeping, I'm driving the goddamn van. But, like, just ragging on, because then there's Justin, J-Dog, making funs, and just, like, it was really cool that, like, because in that regard of, like, sending it to, like, a younger, use J-Dog, Justin terms, young buck, terms of, like,
that's what they.
Would they get it? Like, do you get these jokes? Like, do you who's Craig Horville in their eyes? Like, maybe Reaper even is like, who the fuck's that kind of thing. So like when you're asking like, what was Jim's like, and then like you send that footage and like it comes back like, oh my god, that guy was hilarious. Like, and you still get it. Like it's pretty cool. And so anyway, going back to like that time when of the last days, unfortunately. Showing up to the hospital, showing up with, the family, essentially. I had a Celtic Frost, Morbid Tales mug that, like, what the fuck do you bring them? Like, flowers? And so I brought him that, and, like...
You bring him a hot nurse, they give him a little...
And, I didn't have much to say, and, like, I guess that's the regret part. Like, was I not... like the person I could have been. And I guess that's where the pep talk that Eddie was kind of giving at the same time. I don't know if I see it that way. I guess I got to process it. But like at the end of the day, I think, if Jim's on a brimstone or a cloud somewhere, like I answered that with doing the Spawn of Satan collection release. Like there was a lot of attention to detail with that. Like getting the old logo. Like, he'd been doing that project, really loved that idea since the 80s from the stories that he told me. And so to them being the lasting archivalist survival person that was in the band and, like, knowing all that stuff, like, I definitely, like, used that to then put together the project, find the logos. It was kind of easy in a way because, like, Jim had already been working with my brother Eric, who's, like, namely Eric Horrorval, like, on a lot of Hell's Headbangers releases, like, doing the layouts. So Eric had a lot of that stuff that was like, hey, man, can you send that? So it wasn't like, going to like the deepest, darkest crevices of like finding people you never heard of that like, I heard through this grapevine that like, you're a person that, hey, I'm Craig, by the way, and I'm doing this fucking archival release. Like, I didn't have to do like stuff like that. I kind of was the guy that already had it. And then like when I did have to reach out to the people, like it was almost like they don't know anything about it. Like, well, shit, I'm glad I keep the archives I do. So yeah, if Jim's looking up from that brimstone or down from that cloud, like I think, you know, whatever the hell in his last moments going to the hospital that I feel just, you know, shy of and not giving him maybe words of wisdoms, you know, I got to see I was there.
And
it's just fucking weird, you know?
You know, and I got to see again, I almost feel like there's probably people like, who the fuck is Eddie really? Like, oh, does he even still listen to metal? I do, but 2020, some of the stuff I saw in the scene kind of disgusted me and such. Anyhow, so like I said, I was fortunate to when I got to know Jim, it was playing softball with Jim and kind of hanging out away from music, even though the softball team was music folks. So I won't say what happened in the hospital room. I'm even getting a little choked up. It sounded like Jim would make fun of people, and for some reason Jim didn't make a whole lot of fun of me. And I don't know if that's because
he didn't know you well enough,
or he. I think what it was again, a lot of our conversations were not. He asked a lot about flying. So did Don. And then Jim and I would talk about, like, not a huge football fan, but I'd be like, hey, he loves the Steelers. I'm like, are you a Steelers fan to be an antagonist in Cleveland or what? Like, I kind of would throw it out there like that because I'm like, that's awesome. So like Athanar.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say him and Athanar are like the biggest like Cleveland area because like I'm not into sports, but like
Athanar told me one time, he goes, and I think this was even before. Well, he said you can't stop Steel. Why wouldn't I be a Steelers
Is that what that's yeah.
And I think and I was fortunate again. Just happenstance, just hanging out, doing my thing. I was in the music scene in that I was a fan. I got brought into him to play guitar on a couple of songs. Yeah, but so when I was in the hospital with Jim, I was on medical leave from my job. So fortunate in and even if I was working, I would have been able to find time during the day when no one was around to have alone time with Jim, where I could actually have a conversation. And there was back and forth. I remember asking him, there's one thing I'll say. I said, do you want me to come back and keep saying hi to you? Or like, because, he was in a not the best place. And he goes, Then he smirked and goes, so sense of humor to the end.
Yeah.
I had a chance one day to spend time with him one-on-one. That other time was with someone else, the time with the smirk. But one thing that this is my experience. So I knew who Jim was in the music scene. The bands he was in, a lot of them I was just becoming familiar with because I was relatively new to Cleveland, just a few years in, and then over this time frame got to know him maybe in a different way where music wasn't the primary reason for knowing him. And so that's why he came up, because I saw on Facebook there was like his birthday, and I was like, holy crap. And then in my mind I started connecting, there was the first birthday he had after he passed. It was right around tax day.
Well, I guess April.
Yeah, there was a fest and
Jim would have been 50 this year.
No, he was older than that. He was older than me.
No, I thought he would have been 50.
I thought he was older than me. I think he's older than Don. I think he would have been.
What? So I'm going off of like what.
I'm 50.
I didn't like. I forgot the year. So there we go. But I saw somebody post, and maybe it was an old post then from years ago, like I posted on his birthday, and I was tagging him. So then I looked at like the Insta, as Justin calls it, the Insta girl, which is fucking hilarious. I was looking at Insta girl like tags of like of Jim Sadist. So maybe it was an old post because I thought somebody said Jim would have been 50 this year. So yeah, what year were you born?
73. I think he was. I think
72.
He was 60.
I want to say he was 72 then.
I thought he was older than Don. Maybe Don is older, and Jim was closer to my age. And that's the funny thing. So I'm saying that not because I thought Jim looked old or Jim was old. It was his wisdom. He had a certain wisdom and an air about him. Craig Reaper and I've been watching a lot of Norm Macdonald. My father just passed 3 months ago. We just buried him. Finally, his ashes. Which that was anybody who's lost parent. That's so I've been watching a lot of Norm Macdonald because sometimes Norm Macdonald's eyes remind me of my father. And then you start to contemplate mortality and such. And then seeing the Jim posts on Facebook, and the Instagrams and Instagirls, Insta-X's. Everybody hates Elon and let's burn down Teslas, which is dumb. Anyhow, again, getting carried away. But I think where I was going with that was Jim's wisdom, and kind of like Norm Macdonald, where there was a certain darkness, but a certain humor the guy had, where his stuff came out. I always thought fairly intellectually.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
for Jim's sake, yeah,
a correct word. But he still a lot of times did it in such a goofy manner. And the occasional time where he might have busted my balls about something, it was certainly deserved. I do remember him laughing at me for silly stuff, but like it's back to the air show. I just remember he's wearing a striper shirt at Hell's Head Bash. I'm like, that's like the best shirt you can wear here.
And the yellow, he had the yellow pants too, right?
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah, because Striper was
I can't remember if he had yellow shorts or pants.
No pants, yeah.
And
because I think he went to like this African like
are you allowed to say African?
No, like literally like an African like market like clothes kind of place. And like I remember him telling me like because everybody knows him for the red pants, but like to like to stand out, like he prided himself in that in a lot of ways. So the red pants, but like there was the multicolored pants. And it's like, and where do you get like bright color Steelers or like? Because that's what he said.
Oh, and
yeah, he's like, I gotta go to the African market. Yeah, to get the yellow pants.
It might, that might have been more of a Steeler thing than a Striper.
I think that's what it was. But if it was gonna work, well, knowing Jim too, like the Striper logo is yellow. Like he was definitely like, did you get the shirt? Did you get the shirt? Way, yeah. So like like Oswald Cobblepot, like he would have fucking had blue pants. And I remember like even showing up to like a Wasteland Cinema, the horror convention, and like he had, as he called it, a gown, but it was a fucking graduate. Well, I guess it was a gown. No, a cape. Sorry, it was a graduation gown, and like, cause I remember like, even our friend Sebastian like coming, oh, you finally fucking graduated. He was like, dude, it's a cape, baby. It was a fucking green. It's like, no, Jim, it's a fucking graduation gown. It was a green, like high school graduation gown. So like just that kind of shit.
The thing that I think one of the best things about Jim was like even that when I talked to him about the Striper shirt, and I was like, dude, that's the best shirt you could wear. And he was like, that's such a great band. I'm like, oh god, man, their guitar tone was great. They were excellent musicians. It was fucking. Why wouldn't you listen to them, right? Some of their later stuff I don't really recall, but
I just know like the classic, like "To Hell with the Devil."
Yeah, which
is that an album or just a song? I thought it was an album too.
I thought it was an album too, and I know there was like the 777 stuff, and
okay.
Then there was an airplane called that I've not gonna fly because I don't want to go to.
Hey man, like when it comes to the Christian stuff, like I still I'm always on the side of like the poo poo aspect is like just like, oh my god, God's so great, like be like Jesus came down and fucked up the devil with a lightning bolt and a cross, like it's not like strong enough. Like that's my disgruntlement, I guess, as far as like pursuing it as a metal music anyway. But yeah. Like Jim would definitely.
I don't know, a guy that got like, whether you think it's folklore or not. I mean, if I got nailed to the cross and awoke 3 days later, but it's actually 2.
yeah, Easter
We've
Monday.
had the conversation. I don't know. That guy's pretty.
Well, either way, Striper was the last way out, the yellow pants, and Jim was more than the red pants that he's notorious for. And so, yeah, exactly.
And so where I was going, just real quick, honestly, Jim was a handsome man. He had a way of having a look with him, and I was always like, I mean, maybe he did. I don't know, ladies all over him, but I was like, man, just a charismatic soul that could grab a room and roll with it, and always even if I wasn't laughing out loud at Jim, I would be laughing inwardly. Yeah. Like the conversation I had with him at that Hell's Head Bash, I probably was running to go to the bathroom because my bladder's small and wanted the beer, not hydration. But you didn't think of it at the time that this last time I'm gonna talk to Jim before.
No, I definitely didn't.
Nobody thought that, and that's what makes it tough in that situation.
Because even in the hospital, going with fam, and Ellie's my daughter is just walking. I just thought he would get out of it. How could such a powerhouse? Mm-hmm. But fuck, man, and that's the tissue moment. Just that's reality for you. And so, and I think this has been good. I'm really glad that we.
Yeah, I hope you guys liked it.
I think
some of you go, who the heck is this?
Well, because it's been cool as fuck, man. During this week, people have messaged me, dude, what was Konya? I would have never thought of that. I would have never thought that, there'd be then, I knew there would be a legacy. There already was a legacy, but I didn't think, people that were just a cum stain when he was alive, and then years later now looking back and holy shit, the lore that he had too, that I gotta know more about that person, why, you don't have to
he was intriguing, but he was also, I think, intrigued by people, and not to name names or anything, but certain folks in his inner circle, when you would hear the clashes and stuff, I sometimes think they were taking things he was doing personally, maybe. I don't know. Again, I'm getting in a possibly judgy thing for people that knew him better than I did.
It's cool as fuck.
Yeah, and personally, I feel very fortunate to have known him for the short time that I did. Maybe in a different way than a lot of, it's obviously his buddies from Parma that they went to high school and stuff with. Not to that level, and that's where I'm coming from with this. Is that some of those folks were who the fuck is Eddie to say? But I knew Jim a short time, very short time. I knew him well enough that I could have some really cool conversations. Sadly I don't remember specifics of a lot. But one thing I will say about Jim as a human being. And just a friend that knew him a short amount of time, relative, and his life was way too short. I mean, I could have one-on-ones with that guy. Even if it was music, it was just about the guy being just a friend that wanted to talk to you, which I think is in back to the intriguing, the handsome, the charismatic. That's what drew me in. This guy's genuinely interested in what we're talking about, and that's bigger than I think the music.
Well, and
who he was,
and to kind of send it off, then the who the fuck is Eddie? For one, you're somebody that knew, and if there's people asking, now it's another story to elaborate and hopefully entertain and ascertain what we can do as the survivors of if you're inspired, and it makes you a better musician, makes you a better person, having a gym awareness that's cool. So there's our have tos, and because so otherwise we wouldn't be doing this on the couch, you know what I mean, without that, that's how you fucking met me. You came down to Hell's Headbangers then, and you bought Hellhammer or something one day. because like you were on the softball team with Jim, and so like
yeah.
it made Hellcast possible. It made Crucified Mortals 7-inch with Radio Locator and Exorcism possible. Like it kept going, and that's kind of what I mean. Like to the quote unquote young bucks, or anybody really, that if you're gaining something out of it, like to tell these stories, then like if it influenced us to know him and be immersed in it, and then it spawned a friendship that is lasting decades at this point,